I mean, I didn't do any notes.
No.
No notes.
Same. Some things never change.
Yeah, there's no point.
If my notes slip, then Dolan creeps into this chair, doesn't he?
I just had a little thing in my head I was going to say, but I was going to do a little partridge.
Mum would be like, "Why have you bought this?" When I was young, I'd be like, "Mum, I like Bovril, let me live." My mum was like, "Oh, that's a lovely voice. Who is that talking?" And my dad was like, "Oh, it's Chris Dolan." And she took one look at the screen and went, "I do not like his hair."
What?
Hello, welcome to the Villa View podcast with myself, Martin Larson, and Olaf Melberg to my right. As you can see, we're both wearing classic Villa shirts again. Mine's got Larson on the back, Tom's has got Melberg, although off camera we decided that actually, personality-wise, we'd probably be the other way around.
Yeah, I think I'm the level-headed Larson, the diplomat, as you said, whereas you're the more passionate, the gets the people going.
And the fans roaring, that's me.
Plus, Martin Larson's the better-looking one, so
that's probably... No, actually, Melberg's a handsome man.
Do you think?
But we probably shouldn't get onto this too much because there is a lot to talk about. We have had some tech issues.
So much to talk about. Yeah, we came in here and the booth wasn't working, the audio wasn't working. We think we've got it right now. It looks like it's right, so hopefully all goes to plan and this will be out on Tuesday evening.
I can see that now being turned into some kind of montage of it just not working, like the type of you saying that and then it obviously doesn't work.
Yeah, quite possibly. Let's get into it though, because it is a great time to be a Villa fan right now. Another 2 wins, 8 in a row. How are you feeling?
Well, at this moment in time, I'm pretty tired. It's quite early doing the morning podcast, but in terms of Villa, I'm very, very happy. Got to say, I really, really enjoyed Saturday, and I think the good thing about this season now, and I've probably said this before on the podcast, is that last season, probably from about February, we knew that we would at the very least be top 6 and get playoffs. Mm-hmm. This is a lovely surprise because we all thought the season was over. I mean, you said before that you saw Dolan getting some abuse on Twitter, which is ridiculous for saying that the season was over and he'd given up. Mm. Well, I think anyone who said that they saw this coming is an absolute liar. Yeah,
even if you hadn't quite given up on playoffs, nobody was feeling buoyant about the whole thing. And it's just been a revelation, not just because we've got the wins, but because we've got a lot of these wins with style.
Yeah, because if after that West Brom defeat, where we were all pretty low, if someone would have said, all we've got to do now is just get 8 wins in a row, you'd have been like, yeah, all right, mate, time for you to go home now. Yeah. Like, it was, you couldn't see it coming. And a good thing about Saturday was winning without Jack, because that's a monkey off our back as well. I know we've won without him before, but that just shows that we're there now. The rest of the players are at a high level as well.
Yeah, and we will get into the Rotherham and Bristol City games, but you look now to Friday against Bolton, all due respect to them, they're in a world of pain right now, so you'd expect to go there and win, and then you get Millwall at home on Monday, which is another winnable game, and that's 10 games in a row, and then you look to play Leeds and Norwich. Norwich certainly could be up by the time we play them, and Leeds are in a battle for themselves, but you just got to fancy Villa right now because they're playing so well and the confidence is sky high.
Yeah, that was a big test on Saturday because Bristol City are in a good position and have been going well.
And it wasn't just Grealish, but Mings was out, Hawes was out.
Defence in tatters, essentially, and Jednak came in and played very, very well. I've got to say he was one of my worries pre-game because I was thinking, okay, when Rotherham launching it quite direct, that's fine for Jednak, but I thought Bristol City would be a bigger test on the floor. Yeah. And to be fair, he stood up to everything that was thrown at him. I don't think Bristol City were great. I thought in the second half Villa were absolutely dominant. Yeah. First half wasn't a great watch. Second half, though, I thought we were utterly brilliant.
Well, let's come on to the Bristol City game second, as we do.
That's what we've got to
do. So let's start with Rotherham 1, Aston Villa 2. And it was Rotherham that started off the brighter. It was this game, everyone was kind of talking about it as a bit of a trap game. With eyes on Bristol City, would we be ready for Rotherham? And we were outplayed by them in the first half. I think it's very fair to say. And they could have been one up very early on. John Taylor pickpocketing Neil Taylor and firing a cross goal for that one. And they had a couple of nice chances. Ajay turns and puts our defence on a sixpence. Again, Jed Steer makes a decent save straight at him. But Rotherham were having the first early chances.
We've still got that thing where a lot of the time we can't play well for 2 halves. We seem to be a one-half team, but then at the moment that one half is exceptional. But I do feel that's always how Villa have been my entire time supporting them. They'll have one pretty average half and then they'll have one really good half. I mean, there's a lot of times where they have 2 terrible halves as well. I've seen my fair share of those, but same on Saturday. First half not great, second half, they've completely gone and done the business, and that's what they've done on Wednesday night as well against Rotherham.
Yeah, so Villa build into the game a little bit. Adoma has a chance. Hurahan has the follow-up on that, which is blocked. And then the penalty comes. Absolutely no doubt about the penalty. It's as big a stonewall as you can have. Grealish hauled down in the box.
You could see the Rotherham, one of the other Rotherham players talking to the guy who gave the penalty and going, "What'd you do that for?" You can actually see him mouth because he's heading. He's in the box, yes, but I would say he's going to do very well to get the ball across from there and cause a problem. So it was very clumsy.
It's headless, isn't it?
Yeah. It's like John Inslee in our game at Villa Park. There's no need to make the challenge.
He goes for it, and you can see the glory, and there's absolutely no glory. But Marek Rodak guessed the right way. It wasn't a great penalty from Tammy Abraham, yeah, I mean, Rodak has to go the right way, but he does, and he saves it. I thought the Rotherham Twitter account made a meal of it. It was like, it's a great save, absolutely unbelievable.
He didn't connect with it properly. He didn't connect with it how he wanted to at all. Old Tammy Lynch. He just didn't connect.
And then, it seems like just a moment of or a spell of madness from Tyrone Mings at this stage. And the first booking is a totally needless kick out from a player that is usually very cool-headed.
Is he cool-headed?
Do you not think?
Like we're talking about fiery characters and being passionate and stuff. He's up there.
But I think he's got, well, before this game I thought he had a total perfect balance where he could fire up the crowd and would roar at the crowd, and yet he had the composure to take a turn on the ball.
He's a composed footballer for sure.
And he does that in this incident.
Yeah.
He kind of controls it, turns out and passes it away. But there's just that little nick. You'd expect Tyrone Mings, I guess he's probably the player that's giving the little nicks rather than receiving them, so maybe that just caught him the wrong way.
Aston texted me was at the game. He texted me before Mings got sent off. It may have even been before he got booked, and he said he's playing like a headless chicken.
Really?
He's all over the place tonight. Yeah, so that's what Aston's feedback was, and he's obviously seen more of the game than I have. It was a kick up. He didn't really connect, did he? It was more just a lash in frustration. I'm not saying it's not a yellow card for any minute. We'll come on to the second yellow card, but the first one is definitely a yellow card. It's just frustration, isn't he? He's been fouled persistently for the last 30 seconds on the ball, and sometimes the referee takes a lenient view rather than a dim view of it, but I'm no complaints with the booking at all, but he's a little bit out of character, yeah.
I think so. And then not long afterwards, before the 30 minutes is up, he gives away the penalty. Newell's cross comes in, and to me, Mings just misreads it. It comes across too low. He's kind of gone for the shoulder/head. It's caught him on the arm, and the referee's seen enough to give him a second booking, and he's off. And to me, I know
you're gonna have to pull the handbook out here with the referee's rules.
I criticised the ref on the night. I tweeted about it, and I got a
Oh.
whole host of, well, it must be bad if Tom Julian is not defending the ref. I thought the referee had a poor game, especially in the first half. But this is where football is so subjective, because lots of people came back to me and go, no, definite yellow, kind of deliberate. He's tried to get away with it, hasn't he? I didn't think so.
I think it's one of those ones where he's just misjudged it, and then you kind of get caught in the make an instinctive movement towards the ball. I don't think he's meant to do. It's not like he's moved his hand out like that. I mean, you can't see if you're listening via audio. It's not like he's moved his hand. His hand stayed down by his side. Yeah, he's kind of just. You can't really get out of the way of it at that point, and he's misjudged it, so it's always going to hit his arm.
Compared to the Villa penalty later on in the game, where the defender's arm is right above his head, that's a stonewall penalty in my opinion. I thought it was debatable. I can see why the referee gave it. I also don't necessarily think it's a. I mean, I guess if you give it as a penalty, then you've adjudged that Mings is deliberately interfering with play, and therefore it is a yellow card.
Some kind of indirect free kick thing.
No. I think, but I wondered whether the yellow card was necessary. But it's also, and again, to get into the referee psychology of it a little bit, the referee's probably his blood pressure's up. He's just booked.
Have you come out with some strange things to say the referee's blood pressure is up, and that's why?
No, I'm not saying that's exactly why. I'm saying that's part of it. He's just booked Mings. Mings is right in his mind at this point. It's just happened again. Mings goes, handball. Oh, it's you again. Bang, bang.
He's deemed it deliberate, hasn't he? I think that's the crux of the situation. He has already been booked. Personally, I think it probably is a penalty, but I don't think it's a yellow card.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you could.
Did the guy get booked for the handball, the Rotherham goal? I think he did. Possibly.
Yeah, I can't
That
remember.
seems to me more of a movement. Mings hasn't really made a movement towards the ball. I suppose he has actually, but his arm's down his side.
Yeah.
Maybe he does just think he's tried to get away with one there. I'm going to give him a yellow card.
That's what Martin Lawrence said.
Or he forgot he'd already booked him. Maybe it's the opposite of what you say. Maybe he'd forgotten he'd booked him. And then he's booked him and thought, oh no. Oh well, no going back now.
But that is kind of, that's genuinely what I'm trying to get at in terms of the pressure of the environment. Obviously, I've never refereed a championship game, but...
Really? Were you surprised?
but there's sometimes that pressure where you've done it and you've gone for it and then you've gone, oh, okay. And I obviously don't know what the referee's mindset is, but I guess the laws.
His blood pressure was definitely up there. We can confirm that.
I think it will be. The BPM is going crazy. Anyway, it's
his cholesterol at this time. What was that doing?
Well, it depends if he's had his all brown or not. He's given it anyway. Mings has gone. Dean Smith looks furious with the whole thing. He looked furious with the first.
He got booked as well, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, which was kind of funny. They've only just brought that in.
The Bristol City coach and Lee Johnson both got booked on Saturday as well. I don't think I've ever seen that before at a home game. I think that's the first time it's happened.
They didn't used to book the referees
this season,
physically.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
It's good to see. I quite like it.
Do you?
That's another element.
Yeah.
Can you book anyone? Can you book the kit man? If he says something.
I guess if you're in the technical area.
Yeah, you can book it because you can book the subs, can't you, before they come. That's always been the thing.
Yeah.
Because you could send a sub off if he's not even come on the pitch.
But it used to be, this is really boring, if you're not on the pitch, then you didn't need to brandish a card.
Okay.
And now you get your card out.
That is boring.
It was, I told you. So that happens. Volk scores the penalty, no mistake, straight down the middle. And, I mean, it's not a very positive place to be. Villa are falling into that trap game, as we talked about before, and 1-0 down, away from home, 10 men. We look to be in a bit of a mess, and Dean Smith pulls out a bit of a masterstroke.
Yeah, I mean, I think for people that are regulars to the podcast will know that I was at karaoke at the time.
Yes.
So, obviously, that's not done my street cred much good at all. But I was getting all kinds of texts and looking on Twitter when I was out. And I was thinking, oh my God, there's an absolute meltdown here. But fair enough, we're down to 10 men. We've missed a penalty. We're 1-0 down. Oh, well, it was nice winning games while we were, but it's probably over now. And then I did a lovely rendition of David Gray, Babylon.
Oh.
And I look at my phone, and we're winning 2-1.
That feels like a song that's more challenging than you think it would be.
No, I found it quite easy.
Did you?
Yeah, I did a bit of Johnny Cash as well. But we don't want to talk about my karaoke displays. But what I'm trying to make the point of, I was thinking, oh no, I'm not going to look at my phone for a bit. Did a song, and then I thought, okay, I'll have a quick look. We're winning 2-1, and I said to Angela, we're winning 2-1, and she was hammered at this point. She couldn't believe it. Because of how negative it all seemed at half time.
It was a bit wild because, I mean, I tweeted on the night, I went to the bins just after half-time.
That's a rookie mistake. You should never be doing things like that mid-game.
And, I mean, I got called out for it at the time, and rightly so.
Yeah, I agree.
But, I mean, we had dinner at half-time, and I was like, oh, we're 1-0 down, we got 10 men. What could happen? What's the worst that could happen?
Maybe it's because of you that we scored 2.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe like the stars of a line because you've been an idiot. So, God's been like, I'm going to punish this guy if he decided to take out the bins and he's going to miss 2 goals.
It's not the worst punishment.
That's true. Yeah, 2 goals for Rotherham would have been a bigger punishment.
Exactly. Yeah. So I'm down in the bins and then I'm sure that's going to be...
Stig of the dumbbell.
That's going to be Kyle. And I come back and it's 2-1. But not only that, I kind of missed the tactical moment where we go 2 up top, which is a real anti-convention thing from Smith, right? To utilise Kodja. Usually, you'd just kind of try and shut up shop and catch him on the break. Dean Smith turns it on his head, and probably Rotherham aren't expecting that at all, and Villa probably go for it and get the rewards.
I like that because it gives them something to think about. I always think that when managers are picking teams, before the game, sometimes just think, I'm going to do it. I'm just completely change formation, pick a load of different players because they weren't prepared for that.
Yeah.
It's like that, isn't it?
Yeah.
They won't have been thinking Dean Smith's going to go 2 up top here and really throw the kitchen sink at us. And that's what we did. I mean, we win a penalty almost immediately. And I've criticised Kodja on many occasions, but off the bench, Sheffield Wednesday and Rotherham there, he's turned 2 games for us.
Yeah, so Semir J is the defender that has his hand up here, and it's El Mohammadi's cross. There really isn't any doubt about it, and Kodja sticks away the penalty.
Good pen, brave pen.
Well, Tyler Hawkins says, thoughts on Kodja taking the penalty and not Abraham. Do you think it was a confidence thing? Or
I think when you've missed one in that game, think it's probably the right decision to let someone else take it.
What was really good is that there didn't seem to be any argument about it. It was like, Codger's going to take it. Okay, everybody happy with that. And he absolutely buries it, doesn't he?
It's a lovely penalty. That's how you take a penalty.
Keeper's got no chance. That's very similar to Tom Julian's Villa Park penalty.
When you're straight down the middle, though.
No, it was just slightly. I mean, it wasn't quite in the corner. Let's be real. But it wasn't a million miles
Because the keeper went the right way as well. He looked even better.
Looks better, doesn't it?
Yeah, when the keeper goes the right way and can't get anywhere near it. To be fair, for someone it was his first touch of the ball as well, wasn't it? Apparently.
Yeah, first goal since December against Stoke as well. So hasn't had a lot of minutes, but Codger's one of those players, isn't it, where he's always confident, and I guess when he's on the bench, that turns into frustration. But in this situation, he's always backing himself
to score.
It's a chance
for a goal, isn't it? I suppose, and he obviously, as you say, he hasn't scored since December.
Yeah,
most the new haircut.
Yeah,
as well, giving him a bit of confidence. We were questioning the new haircut. Maybe it's giving him a new lease of life. He likes it. He feels good. He looks good. He thinks he looks good. I'm going to take that penalty. I'm going to hammer it home.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe that's it.
Great penalty.
Very much so. And then just a few minutes later, Tom Julian still in the bins. And an excellent goal orchestrated by Captain Jack. It's a wonderfully worked goal, isn't it? And lots of talk about comparisons to Messi and this kind of thing, and we can calm down a little bit. But
you know what?
You've got to beat the defenders there in front of you. And Jack Grealish the way he moves this goal is superb.
I'm not for 1 minute saying Jack Grealish is as good as Lionel Messi.
Yeah,
but there's in some of his movements. There is definitely a similarity for me. There's a similarity. I think you're not saying anything, which leads me to think that you don't agree with it at all.
Yeah,
I'm not saying he's as good as him. But Jack's very unique.
Yeah,
and Messi is certainly very unique. I don't think there's. I think there's similarities in their style.
Yeah, the way he moves his body and the way.
I don't see in silence then when I'm trying to.
Well, because you just compared him to Messi.
No, I didn't. I was very careful.
The way he moves his body, his kind of slight frame, but the fact that he's so strong as well, I think is comparable
Messi's
to Messi.
Deceptively strong, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. I think Messi has that, obviously, that extra edge where he scores 40 goals a season, which we would love Jack to add to his game. But you're right, and specifically in that goal, his vision to not only to just have a pop shot straight away, but to lay it off.
A pop shot?
Doing
pop shot.
Is that pop? Is it?
I've never heard pop shot before.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay, well, there you go. But he doesn't have a pop or a pot.
Your pop shot sitting in the bins.
Laying it off to El Mohammadi. And then, I mean, to be fair, the foresight of El Mohammadi to lay it back to Grealish is phenomenal as well. And then Grealish strokes it home. And the kind of comeback it's not complete, but it's brilliant.
And I made a big shout on Twitter. I carried away, Tom Julian style. Didn't I, by saying. Although, going back to last week slightly, I've got to say, I was shocked with the amount of people that agreed with you on McGinn.
Yeah, so a bit of housekeeping. If you didn't watch last podcast, I said that McGinn's Sheffield Wednesday goal
away from home
was as good, if not better, technically.
You said it was better
than his goal.
Was better.
I said it was on a par, essentially.
Okay, sorry.
But yeah, technically, I thought it was better. And the YouTube comments tended to agree with me. It was about 50-50 on Twitter, but that was more than I thought would agree.
I've got to say, my best mate, Stu, he's never ever listened to a podcast before. I said to him, listen to the podcast, I think you'll enjoy it. You've met Tom, you like Tom as well. Obviously, you like me. I think you'll get something out of it. And he listened to it. He texted me saying, Tom's bang on about the McGinn.
And Steve's a good footballer as well.
Yeah, he's played for West Brom, so he's a seasoned footballer.
I appreciate
He said
that.
what you were saying was bang on, and he wanted me to tell you.
Oh,
I've told you now.
That's very nice. Thank you. You didn't have to tell me.
I didn't ask his opinion on my statement that Jack Grealish's was goal of the season.
So you said that Grealish's was goal of the season, which, I mean, again, it's a bit of an audacious shout, but it's not without merit.
I just think it was such a unique goal. It's the kind of goal. I mean, so was McGinn's. We scored a lot of good goals. Let's face it.
That's it.
Even last season we scored a lot of good goals, but this season we've taken it up another notch.
Isn't it brilliant to be able to argue which goal was best? Not because we've only got one goal in the goal of the month competition. Do you remember that?
I'm trying to remember what would have won our goal of the season. Like, not last season, but the 2 seasons before. So the season we went down and the season we were bang average in the Championship.
Was it our last season in the Premier League where we only scored one goal in a month?
No, that was Lambert the season before.
Was it? That was truly dreadful. But yeah, to your point, I can't think of the best goal from
last season. There was a few good ones. Obviously, the Grealish volley.
Yeah.
Snodgrass against Sheffield United.
Yeah.
There was another belter.
Hurahan last year.
Horan against Blues as well. So they were the three last year. This year, got the McGinn volley Sheffield Wednesday.
I think we could have a top 10.
The Jack volley against Derby. Connor scored a couple of good free kicks.
Mm-hmm.
One of his free kicks, I can't remember which one it was I think it was the Derby one, was unbelievable.
Yeah.
McGinn's, obviously you've said that was better away. And then that Rotherham one, which I'm saying so far is our goal of the season.
Interesting. I wouldn't agree, but I can see why you'd say that.
I think maybe because it actually meant something as well, whereas the McGinn goal just ended up meaning nothing because we lost the game. This was the winner in amidst of a really good run. It was just such a nice goal. It was a team move as well. He just took 4 players completely out of the game with one touch, and then Neil Taylor gave it him back. He was away. 4 players just taken out in the space of a second.
It's the outside of the boot as well, where he just knocks it past. It's so classy.
Oh, he's so good to watch.
It was really, really nice.
So good to watch.
And credit should also go to Jed Steer. Villa go 2-1 up, and then Jed Steer makes a great save from a null close range shot to tip it over the bar. We also got a little bit lucky. John Taylor has another crack which hits Jedinak and goes over. Could have gone anywhere.
He put himself in the way.
I mean, he did his job, but it could have gone anywhere. And we'll come back to Rotherham potentially at the end of the season, come what may, and that might be a really crucial. Yeah. It might be.
To do that?
No, I've got no idea what you're talking about.
Come what may.
Oh,
because it's in May, going to be in May, isn't it?
I was just like, what?
Why did you laugh when I said nice punnage?
I was just going to carry on. Professionalism.
Where?
Come what may,
Say it again.
this game may be crucial, because if we lose this game and then we go into Bristol on a bit of a downer, obviously we'll never know what happens, but this could change the course of the last part of our season.
Well, I'd have suggested if we'd not beat, or we'd lost to Rotherham, for example, and then we got a load of injuries and personnel missing going into Bristol game, I imagine confidence wouldn't have been sky high.
Yeah.
But they've dug in on Saturday, and they've dug in on Wednesday. Let's face it, they've put a lot of yardage into the last few games as well. They've gone right to the death at the weekend before with Sheffield Wednesday as well, and scored 2 goals at the end of the game to win the game. It's good to see that, like, going back to the Codger thing a little bit, it's good to see people coming off the bench who've not been involved that much, just coming in and making an impact, because we had a bit of that on Saturday as well.
Yeah, it's great, and like you say, we'll come on to Keenan Davis. He's been featured a little bit more, which is really good. And it is a team game. There's a question in the comments about our loan players who are out on loan at the moment, and how they kind of come into things. And it just goes to show that Dean Smith is really using his bench, and hopefully we'll see more of those players, whether we're in the Premier League or the Championship next season. We'll be able to see these younger players being blooded a little bit more throughout the season. And now that Dean Smith is kind of confident that he knows what Keenan Davis is about, he'll be able to trust and utilise them.
Yeah, I got to say, I really, really like Davis. I thought he made a positive impact when he came on Saturday. I think sometimes we forget actually how good he was last season. I think he only scored 1 goal in the league, didn't he? But his all-round game was brilliant. He just needed to put the ball in the back of the net a little bit more. But when he's on the pitch, I always think we look dangerous.
Yeah. Well, let's move on to the Bristol City game then, unless you wanted to.
No, I don't think there's anything except for it really made me like the third kit.
Yeah.
I've never been that sold on the third kit, but us winning 2-1 away, seeing other players in it, really made me keen on the third kit.
Nice. So we go into the Bristol City game. Obviously, we know we don't have Mings. There's chat that Courtney Hawes won't be available, and then about an hour or 2 hours before we find out that Jack Grealish is suffering with an illness.
The amount of texts I got that morning saying, "Is it true about Jack?" So obviously the rumour was doing the rounds.
Yeah.
Somewhere. I say when I found out he was injured, or not injured. Sorry, when I found out he wasn't playing, I was thinking, "Oh no."
Yeah.
We don't need that at all.
And it was, one, we didn't need it because, I mean, obviously Jack's been captain 7 games in a row and winning all these games, but also with those key injuries at the back that we're missing, and he's just been that ticker, hasn't he, that's kept us going. So, and Bristol City in great form, I think unbeaten in 5, and they'd beaten West Brom 3-2 in the week, so they're confident, and they probably will have heard Jack Grealish is out and get buoyed from that as well.
Someone a Bristol City fan put a tweet out, didn't they, saying something about Jack being out, inject it into my veins or something like that. And obviously then people following that and put it out there, quote tweet it. After the game, I was concerned, and then you learn Codger's out, who's done well as well. I don't know what was wrong with him. Did we find out what's wrong with him?
No.
Okay, I'm presuming he's got the same sickness bug. That's just a guess.
Yeah.
You've obviously got your defence in tatters. One more injury to the defence and you're in real trouble. Because Twanzabe's obviously only just come back.
Yes.
Jedinak's not played much football at all since Dean Smith's come in. So you're thinking, you'd only take a hamstring strain or something from them probably both not fully match fit, and you're in real trouble. Mm-hmm. Luckily that didn't happen, but I've got to say I didn't have massively high hopes. In true Dolan style, I'd have taken a point for sure. Because that game was one you don't lose. You don't lose to your playoff rivals that are right next to you at home. We just can't afford to lose that game. A draw would have been a semi-decent result, to be fair.
So what was the atmosphere kind of before the game? Were people still in high spirits?
Yeah.
Was it still a good mood?
Yeah, because before the game's kicked off, there's no need not to be, is there?
I guess there's nervousness.
Yeah, I've got to say the fans were, I think, absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I did have a look at the guy in front of me when Connor scored, because Connor did something wrong in the first half and he gave him a bit of stick, and then Connor scored. It was more of a polite applause than anything, which I just find baffling, but never mind.
Well, he had a couple of chances, didn't he, Hurahan? And
a couple.
All of them were not... Well, I mean, they were fairly like you'd expect him to score, but it was Max O'Leary, the goalkeeper, Bristol City's goalkeeper, who had a phenomenal day, it has to be said, and some reactive saves to stop Hurahan getting a goal earlier than he should have done.
I mean, I had to check someone's programme sitting around me to check who he was. Check they hadn't signed David De Gea without me knowing.
He's actually got his own part in the notes, Max O'Leary, because he did so well.
Not many opposition goalkeepers have got that. Oh, he played for the Moors.
Yeah, so he's only 22, and last year was playing for Solihull Motors.
Moors.
Solihull
Moors, mate.
Where did I get Solihull Motors?
I'm not sure.
Vauxhall Motors.
Solihull Motors.
But anyway, so last year he's playing what's that? 5th, 6th division?
I think they're conference.
Yeah, so fifth. And I liked it. Somebody on his Wikipedia page on Saturday, 13th of April 2009, O'Leary produced the best goalkeeping performance ever seen in a Bristol City jersey. O'Leary was voted in the EFL's Team of the Week and is expected to be named a contender for Ballon d'Or 2019. I thought that was funny.
I've got to say, he was very, very good. One of the best opposition goalkeeping performances that I can think of. I remember John Filan having a good game for Wigan at Villa Park once, in those heady days when we were losing 2-0 to Wigan at home in the Premier League. But yeah, he made some great saves that he didn't really have any right to make, because Connor could have had 4 or 5.
Yeah.
The encouraging thing was that he was getting himself into some great positions, because I thought in the first half it was McGinn who was told to get further forward and Connor was a bit deeper with Whelan. Second half, I think Dean Smith must have said to him, look, you go and be the one that gets into the box and try and get us a goal. And he certainly took that advice on board, because he was unlucky in the first half with a header. Because let's face it, heading's not really his game, is it? But he was a good header, and Max O'Leary's made a really good save in the first half. Second half, he's hooked one with his right foot that pretty much, I thought at the time, he definitely should score that. Actually, he's a really good save.
Yeah.
Because I thought, why didn't he put it in the corner at the time? But I think he'd have done well to get it in either corner. So that's a great save. He then had another header that's gone just over the bar that he'll probably say he should have scored.
I think that's a really hard header, because it's kind of like he's kind of flicking it on, isn't he? And I re-listened to the extended match highlights, and the commentator for that game, I think he's an EFL commentator, but every cross he said was delicious, and he's like, and Hurahan has to score that one, and it's like, I thought that was a really hard chance to try and get that up and over.
It's probably the hardest of the lot. Well, except for the goal was not an easy chance. I
was going to come on to the goal, yeah.
He scored his hardest chance,
and that's on the spin. That's a really hard skill to do, and to be able to get it into the side netting in the right fashion.
Yeah, for me, he scored the hardest chance of the lot. But what I liked about it was, one, I thought, oh God, the fans are going to start getting on his back again now, and that didn't happen, except for the guy in front of me. And then it shows a brave player that you can miss and keep getting yourself in those positions, because he's not a striker, is he? It's not his job, but he just kept putting himself in the positions, and then he showed good nous to score the goal that he scored, and just delighted for him. And his record, for someone that we signed for $1.5 million, I think his record's incredible. Yeah,
but his first, another big action that he had was winning the penalty as well.
Soft, yeah.
Very. I've put that. Hurahan pulled down. Soft.
Yeah.
I mean, that was weak penalty, wasn't it?
But So we've had some suspect ones given against us. I think about the Preston game when Chester dived in, and I don't think it was a foul, and he got sent off, and they get a penalty and get themselves back into the game. I'm sure we'll get one given against us before the end of the season that's slightly suspect. If you put your hands on someone, you're asking for a bit of trouble. I'd describe it's needless from the Bristol City defender really to do that, because he's not going to score from there. If I was a Bristol City defender, I'd be saying, "What did you do that for?"
Yeah.
Yeah, like the Rotherham goal.
So Tammy Abraham comes back in to take the penalty, makes no mistake this time. Still wasn't the strongest penalty in the world.
No, because he was close to the keeper's legs. He was down the middle, but he was more to the one side, and it was more to the one side that the keeper had dived, so it quite easily could have hit his leg, but it's gone in. So
I mean, that's the main thing,
yeah.
isn't it? One player that we haven't talked about yet is Anwar El Ghazi. What did you think of his performance on Saturday?
I thought he was our second best player. I thought he was brilliant. He looked a threat every time he got the ball. Well, I've got to say, the Bristol City right back, he just let him cut inside every single time, which was obvious it was what he wanted to do. But the Bristol City right back, I think it's Hunt, he just kept letting it happen, which I found a bit bizarre. But him and Taylor down the left-hand side were linking up superbly. I've got to say, Villa put out their tweet yesterday for a tough one this week again. Who's your man of the match, and put 4 players out. How Neil Taylor has not got into them 4, I do not know.
Yeah,
that was the best game I've seen him having a Villa shirt, because he was a threat going forward and he was astute at the back, and his link-up play with El Ghazi was great. He was always an option on the overlap.
It's great to see Taylor's confidence building, especially as we hopefully get closer to the playoffs. He is just becoming more and more of an asset, not only defending but going forward as well.
When I say, I've said previously that he's obviously not an attacking fullback, because he's not one that's got blessed with loads of pace and he's going to bomb down the line for you like a Roberto Carlos. But he's a good footballer. He's got a good footballing brain. He's a good passer of the ball. Now Taylor obviously was involved in the goal on Wednesday with Jack, and I think that's been overlooked ever so slightly. But his passing's good. He's sharp. He can play one-touch football when he needs to. Obviously he was playing at Swansea when they came up, and they were a very good footballing side, weren't they? So he can play that kind of football. Neil Taylor, I just thought 10 out of 10 for Neil Taylor on Saturday. I thought he was absolutely excellent.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even though you asked me about El Ghazi.
Yeah, it was good. Well, naturally, I was going to come on to El Ghazi setting up Hurahan for the winner, and it is, like you said, that cut inside. Hunt, if it is Hunt, shows him the inside.
I'm hiding behind the mic.
Are you?
Yeah, shouldn't do that.
It's probably best.
Yeah,
it's El Ghazi that cuts inside. Again, has the awareness to just slide it through to Hurahan, who's made his own space, and on the spin strikes a ball really cleanly, and O'Leary's got no chance for one of these, which is nice to see. And that puts us 2-0 up. And does the pressure then kind of does it ease, or do you think how does it feel in the stadium at that stage?
Come back to that question just quickly, because now I want to say something about El Ghazi, even though you asked me and I didn't talk about him.
Right.
Because what I like.
What is the point in these
There
days?
is no point.
I try my best.
I will say it's early. That's my excuse. What I liked about it was, with Jack out, I thought El Ghazi took responsibility to be that driving one with the ball, and I liked that a lot, and hopefully that's something he can take on when Jack's back, because if them two are both driving with the ball, that's causing teams a lot of problems. I really thought El Ghazi stepped up in Jack's absence, and I liked that.
Good.
Now, what was your other question?
I can't remember. Honestly, I can't remember.
I know, 2-0.
How was the atmosphere? 2-0 up.
Buzzing. The atmosphere was pretty good all day. As I say, as someone who's sat here and criticised it when it's been badly, it'd be wrong of me not to say how good it was when it was good. So the players sat back a little bit again, a bit like the Blackburn game. We kind of went 2-0 up, and I felt like we lost a little bit of concentration. Because one slight criticism I've got at the moment, and it's very slight because I don't want to criticise anyone, we seem to have stopped being able to kick clean sheets again. We always seem to have to concede. It's a great finish from Deja, however you say his name. I think that's right. Jeju.
Yeah.
It's a lovely finish, but just felt it was a bit too easy for him.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. So I've said Villa switch off. Well, it's like we're in sync here.
It's very worrying.
It seems like quite a slow build-up, and there's a lot of kind of opportunities to either get your head on it or get it away. 1, 2, 3, and then Jeju creates the space enough for him to be able to bicycle kick it. It just seemed like we got a little bit too comfortable.
Yeah, same as the Blackburn game. Like you said, I think we just switched off. ever so slightly, and you can't do that. They say you're at your most vulnerable when you've just scored, and we kind of let Bristol City have too much of the ball and showed them a bit too much respect after we went 2-0 up, I thought, because we were bombarding them before that and we were looking really, really good. And I know Dean Smith doesn't send teams out to sit back. Dean Smith would have been wanting to go for a third, going for a fourth, so I don't know what it is. Is it psychological? Are the players still haunted by Steve Bruce tactics when you go 2-0 up a little bit? I don't know.
I don't think that's a Steve Bruce thing or an any individual manager thing. I think it's genuinely a psychological thing where you go, the pressure maybe goes off a little bit and you just lose that half a second. I don't know. That's what it seems to be.
Then what I will say is, from going to 2-1, like the Blackburn game, we've seen the game out relatively comfortably.
Yeah.
I wasn't massively worried.
Well, Villa had the best chances of the last part. Keenan Davis has a go. John McGinn breaks through from the corner there.
McGinn's game management, incredible.
Yeah.
And where he found the energy from in the 90th minute to do some of the things he was doing, I do not know. But again, McGinn was great. Just pretty much standard since he's come back into the team from that break.
Well, let's talk about McGinn a little bit, because we had a lot of questions about him and about his suspension potential.
Yeah, I can't get my head around this, to be honest. I'm going to struggle at this hour.
So he's on 13 bookings now.
Some achievement, again, 13
Yeah,
bookings,
he's done really well.
I don't remember him doing anything particularly dirty.
No.
To get a 13 bookings, obviously he hasn't been sent off. 13 bookings is some achievement. Well done, John.
Very good. So if he picked up 15, that would be a 3-match ban for bookings. I can't remember that happening to anybody.
Must have happened to Joey Barton.
Yeah, possibly.
Must have done. Roy Keane.
So the EFL have said that if he picks up 15 bookings in the league, then they will count towards playoff games. So if he picked up a 15th booking in the last game of the season, he would miss the whole potential playoff campaign. If, however, he gets... Once the season finishes, none of the bookings count anymore.
Right.
So the basic argument is, do you play McGinn until he gets his 14th booking and then rest him? Do you carry on playing and hope that he doesn't get booked? Or do you rest him completely and wait for the playoffs? What would your thoughts be on that?
Well, whilst we're needing to win still, until it's mathematically done, you don't take him out.
Yeah.
Although we've proved now, with whichever midfielder's missing, we've got others that can come in and do well. So, I don't know, you definitely don't play him in the last game if he sat there on 14.
Yeah.
You definitely don't. I mean, it would be done by then. I would think we would know whether we're going to be top 6 at that stage. But it's a unique situation.
Yeah.
You think the amnesty would... Because you've played 41 games, 42 games, whatever. You think there'd be a clearance of it all now?
Well, there is a clearance.
Yeah, but at this stage...
No, that makes no sense. Why? If you were saying that compared to a playoff opponent, it was he's on 14 bookings.
And everyone in the other team.
Yeah,
sure.
exactly.
I bet no one is there. I don't know.
That doesn't matter.
It just feels like 13 bookings in 41 games isn't that bad.
This is the most biased Villa I've ever heard you.
It's not that bad.
Oh yeah, but now we should clear it out.
Just clear it.
It's just the rules, mate. You've got to play by the rules.
I know, it's a difficult one because you don't want to take him actually flying at the moment.
Yeah, and do you also rest him, like there's a danger where we try and predict which is the easier game, and you know, the Bolton surprise, you don't play him again and then Bolton surprise you, or you take him out for Millwall because we're at home and we're feeling good, and then you get to Leeds, which might still be a very important game. Like there's a lot of factors in play, and it'll be an interesting one to see what Dean Smith decides.
Maybe you wouldn't play against Millwall, I would say.
There's a lot of people, I should say, who asked this question. Gareth Thomas, Graham Owen, Stephen Deakin and a bunch of others. Anthony Harper says, how good are we without McGinn?
Well, we won against Blues and... Who was the other one without him? Blues and Derby without McGinn. Didn't we? Had 2 tough games. We made light work of Derby for sure. So we've shown that we can win without him, and I'm quite interested by the team selection on Friday, actually, because... When McGinn was suspended and the others came in and did well, McGinn didn't get straight back in.
Yeah.
So what happens with Jack now? Because the others have all done well on Saturday.
Well, so this is a question we've had from Tom Whitwam, which I love as a surname, Whitwam.
Of course you do.
David Cook as well. Which 3 do you pick from out of those 4?
What, for Saturday?
For Friday.
Sorry, for Friday.
Yeah.
The trouble is we're saying that, like, in some ways I think it doesn't send the right message if Grealish gets back in straight away. But in other ways, I think it's Jack Grealish, Daniel. What are you on about? Like, he is the one. I don't know. I think maybe Whelan will sit out one and McGinn will sit out one. I don't know which way around. That would be what I would suggest will happen.
Interesting.
Across Friday, Monday.
Yeah. David Cook says, will the Bolton players be up for Friday, considering they haven't been paid? They could be relegated on Friday night. You know, it's a terrible time, and I really sympathise with the Bolton staff, particularly the non-playing staff that rely on that wage like we rely on a wage.
Yeah.
It's a bit different for footballers, but obviously they're going through a lot as well. But all the non-playing staff and the fans as well, you just don't like to see it.
No, I don't like to see it, but in the nicest possible way, I hope we take advantage of it.
Well, we've got to win.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
I don't think it'll affect them. Sometimes things like that galvanise teams. It creates some form of togetherness.
They're protesting, the players.
Oh, are they?
Yeah, they haven't trained, I don't think.
Oh, God, okay.
So
Well, we're not beating a team that's not training.
Well, I don't know if they've not trained completely, but I think they're certainly making a protest that they're not just going to train.
I do feel for Bolton, because Bolton were in the Premier League for a long time. A team I probably associate with being in the Premier League, and they'll be dropping down to League One. Every time I see Phil Parkinson on the TV, their manager as well, he just looks completely broken.
Yeah, well, that's it, isn't it? The whole. I think the whole club is a bit broken, and not to go back to Sunderland till I die, but it does happen to clubs. It does happen when
We've gone a few weeks without mentioning.
Yeah, when you're in financial arrears, and we felt like that in the off-season last year, when there's a complete unknown about where your club is going to be or whether it's even going to be a club. You know, that's terrifying for fans who have had a season ticket for 40 years or whatever.
Yeah.
They are the lifeblood of the club, and to see that kind of crumble into a kind of unknown obscurity is devastating for people.
Yeah, it's not good, and feels like there's too much of it about.
Yeah,
to
for
be honest
sure.
as well.
The EFL really need to take a look at their Fit and Proper Persons Act, because
And their referees.
and their referees,
Fit and proper referees, they need to take a look at as well.
But genuinely, on a serious point,
And the commentators, by the sound of things, you weren't happy with the commentator either.
that commentator is one of the worst I've ever.
I love the fact you got
heard.
more riled up by a commentator than the referees this season.
No, I mean, this is the first time I've mentioned the commentators, but this is shambles. And I mentioned the referee in the Rotherham, so I'm 1-1. But anyway, the EFL do need to address that because it is a shambles. Anything else you want to talk about from the... Glenn Whelan got man of the match. How did you've already said Connor played really well, El Ghazi played really well. It's good that we've got so many contenders.
I don't think
Neil Taylor.
I don't think anyone really let us down, but for me, Neil Taylor or El Ghazi would both feel hard done by not to get man of the match. But Glenn Whelan was very good again, and it's great to hear the fans singing his name.
Yeah.
His missus obviously loving it on social media as well, that the fans have taken to him. Just interested to see what happens to him at the end of the season. But he's a great character and a great person to have around the football club, and he's playing really, really well at the moment.
Jatinder says appreciation for El Mohammadi and Taylor seem to have gone under the radar a little bit. Not so much on this podcast, but generally. I mean, you can't lift everybody up all the time, but these guys are continuing to deliver.
I think Dave Smith said Elmo is always a 7 out of 10. Again, I don't think Elmo's doing too much different to what he's always done. I feel like Glenn Whelan's not doing too much different to what he's always done. I just think people are standing up and taking notice of it now, whereas they weren't before. They were looking for the bad in people, and now when you're doing well, inevitably, people look for the good in everyone.
Totally.
I think that's obviously what's happening here. But Elmo's been pretty consistent ever since he's been at the football club.
Yeah. Simon O'Regan, Elmo has been excellent, a much better defender than he's given credit for, and proved to be a useful attacking outlet recently. Benjamin Minor, does Jimmy Danger deserve another start, and will he get one in the last few games?
You'll see him crop up on the wing at some point. But there has to be an element of rotation, especially over Easter. There's a lot of games. We've just had 3 games in a week as well. There'll be people coming in and out, and it's good to have options. Lansbury was back and came on a little brief cameo on Saturday. It's good to see him come back into the frame. Hopefully he can just stay fit, because he's another good option to have, and I think it's clear that Smith likes him, because when he's been on the bench, he's been bringing him on.
Do you think Abraham's gunning for 30? Do you think he's had a little word in?
What's he on now?
24. So
he'd do well to get 30 now.
He would, yeah.
He slowed down, hasn't he? He was at goal ratio. His goal rate earlier on in the season was ridiculous, and it has slowed down.
But we're getting goals from other places.
Yeah, he was never going to be able to keep that up. It was just impossible to keep up what he was doing around Christmas time.
Yeah.
I suppose if we get playoffs as well, how many games has he got left? 5, potentially 8 games. Yeah, he could hit 30. Hopefully he's aiming for
7.
it. Have I done bad math?
Bolton, Millwall, Leeds, Norwich,
Yes.
and then potential 3.
7.
Yeah.
Yeah. You'd think he could do it.
Yeah.
Hopefully he does.
Well, let's see. Hopefully he adds that on Friday. Run out of time a little bit, so I want to get onto a couple of other things. Dean Smith got Manager of the Month for March. 5 successive wins in that period. Derby, Birmingham, Nottingham Forest, Middlesbrough and Blackburn.
Give him April now as well.
He's starting off April pretty well as well, isn't he? So Daniel Farke, Jose Gomez and James Shan were the other
I
contenders.
thought you were going to say Daniel Farke asked that question then.
It could be in the notes. You never know. Interesting one here. George Burford. Unpopular opinion. Jed Steer is vastly overrated and only preferred by fans because he's been unlucky with injury.
I don't think fans take anything to do with being unlucky with injury into account.
No,
if I'm being honest.
No, I don't. To this degree, especially with goalkeepers. Goalkeepers, I think, get very short shrift. If they're not performing, then they usually get pelters, as we saw earlier on in the season. And we had another question as well, which I replied to on Twitter, but I haven't written it down.
I saw it.
Was if we went into the Premier League now, would it be Kalinic over Steer? I mean, I've generally avoided the Premier League questions because I don't think we should be talking about them. But I just don't think you can make that decision yet. I think it's a summertime decision. Dean Smith will have seen a lot more of both keepers than either of us.
But you got to remember, Kalinic is the one that Dean Smith signed. It's his pick. That's his player.
Yeah.
Dean Smith. There's not many there that can say that. Oh, well, I was bought by Dean Smith. So we obviously seen something in Kalinic. I think people I've said it before, people need a pre-season. It's difficult to come in and hit the ground running straight away. As a goalkeeper, if you make a mistake, you're persecuted for it and you can get a bit jittery and make another one, and he's probably letting some goals that he should have done better with. But what I will say about Steer is he's definitely been the most consistent goalkeeper we've had.
Yeah.
And that's why the fans have liked him, because at times the others have been a little bit erratic.
Yeah, and he's made some really important saves.
The Rotherham game,
Yeah.
a couple of big saves.
Totally.
Penalty against Sheffield Wednesday. I think that's been overrated. I think that's just people appreciating that he's done a good job since he's come in.
He's made a couple of mistakes, but he's still a young goalkeeper playing at the highest level he's ever played at.
He's not really a young goalkeeper. I think he's 26 now, I think. But in terms of match experience, he's pretty low.
Absolutely. So it's 8 in a row, the first time since the 1974-75 season, which incidentally we went up.
Yeah.
Which was nice.
Good omens.
Yes.
It augurs well.
Do you know who we beat on that run?
What, the 8 teams?
74-75?
No, I'll have a guess at a couple of teams.
Go on.
Did we beat
You'll tick them off.
Everton?
You can play at home.
Everton?
No.
Okay, scrap that game.
Bad start. West Brom, Millwall, Cardiff, Oldham, Blackpool, Sheffield Wednesday, Sunderland and Norwich.
When was the last time we won 10 in a row?
I don't know.
These notes,
They'll be next week.
These
You
notes.
can't give it all away. It's all about
You should
building.
be doing you should be doing your due diligence.
I will say that I have suffered from doing an early morning pod. I did mean to look that up, but I just haven't had time.
Okay.
So there's very much a potential that next
in
week.
the bins. He didn't have time to do.
That next week we're talking about. I don't want to get ahead of myself, and I hope this doesn't come across as arrogance. But I think there's a good chance that we could be talking about 10 in a row.
All right, Spielberg. Arrogant. We might be doing the pod straight after the game, aren't we? The Millwall game, because you're going.
Yes.
So obviously we need to discuss this off camera.
Yeah.
So there's a high chance we could just come back and do it straight after the Millwall game.
That would be good for my missus as well.
I suggest we'll do that. That would be my feeling on it.
Let's have a quick look at the Championship table then. Norwich continue at the top, although they've dropped points in their last 2 games, which is good. Maybe they're easing off. Maybe well, you can't ease off too much. They're on 86 points with Leeds on 82. And then Sheffield United 3 points behind again in third on 79. And then there's a big gap between West Brom on 73, Villa on 69 and Bristol City on 65. Couple of questions. Can we catch West Brom?
It would have been helpful had they not won at the weekend, and I didn't fancy them, to be honest, against Preston. But I think the whole Alex Neil saga took its toll, and then he signed a new deal, hasn't it? Preston has ended up staying. But
That's interesting.
He was saying that game, that the speculation seemed to affect his players big time in his post-match. We can certainly still catch him. It takes for them to lose a couple of games. And we win all ours.
Yep.
And we've caught them, obviously. It'd been beneficial to catch them because I'd rather be away first.
Yes.
But
yeah, so the playoff dates, if you haven't seen this, are now confirmed of sorts. They haven't obviously announced which team, 3rd and 6th, will play and 4th and 5th will play on which dates. They decide that based on transport and policing and stuff like that. So
they don't usually bother with the fixtures to do with transport, so I don't know why this is starting now.
That's true. So Saturday the 11th of May, the week after the end of the season, will be both teams will play either at 12:30 or at 5:15, and then Tuesday the 14th and Wednesday the 15th of May, both at 7:45, will be the second legs of those respective fixtures. Obviously, Monday the 27th of May is the Championship playoff final. So put those dates in your diary. That's quite important. Hoppo Ben put in a tweet saying that he's on call, I think, on Monday the 27th, and there's no chance of changing it. So
I think my dad's had a stinker. I think he's away. I think he's missing it.
For the final?
For the semis.
For the semis.
Both legs. I mean, I think he's had an absolute nightmare.
I mean, that could work for other people in the booth.
Could work for you at a price.
I mean, I give you my time every week.
We'll say. Well, I mean, it's not up to me. Essentially, it's not my ticket.
No, that's very true.
Yeah.
I'll be on the charm offensive with your dad
You really
and
will
your
be.
mum.
The worst thing is that I know you will be. that is the worst thing.
Let's finish with.
I do need to finish because I need to go to work.
I don't know if we all need to go to work. If you've seen this one, Rob Prince, Villa snog, marry, avoid of the current squad. The avoid one's hard.
I don't want to do avoid.
Well, I'm going to go with snog. Oh, this is weird. I don't know what I brought up. This is Rob Prince's
well done
fault.
for out of all the questions you could have picked picking this one.
We got a lot of questions. Yeah, I thought it was fun to finish on. I'm regretting it immediately.
Good.
Snog. I'm trying to think somebody that doesn't listen to the podcast.
I mean, I think barely any of them listen to the podcast.
That's fine. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Bjarnason to snog. Marry.
Bjarnason.
James Chester. Feel like he's a nice homely fella.
Yeah.
Avoid. Richie Delat, because he's in Australia. It'd be very hard to get together.
I've not even seen this. I've put no thought behind it.
Like the rest of the podcast.
I married Dean Smith. Can I marry her and do that?
Yeah.
He knows how to look after a guy. Does he? When you say things and you don't know what's coming out your mouth, that's exactly what.
Welcome to my life.
Yeah, Dean Smith knows how to look after a guy. Snog. Jeez. I'll go with Connor because he scored the winner at the weekend.
Fair.
Avoid. Who's that on load? Because that's the only way.
That's where I went for it.
I can go with avoid.
Micah Richards. He avoids the first day.
I'll go with Mika because he's not gonna be here next season, so I'll have to avoid him because there's no long-term future for us there.
Fair enough.
I'd have to do that.
Very diplomatic. What a finish to the podcast. That is award-winning stuff.
Yeah.
So
really isn't.
Just a few notes before we end. There'll be a Bolton match preview out on Wednesday or Thursday.
Yep.
So that's James Rushton.
No, not James.
And Rolo putting that one together. And I also need to say happy birthday to Clive Burford because I did such a good job with the birthday message last.
I mean, you didn't.
Last
Is this
week.
a regular thing now? Birthdays.
I might be the birthday
People send them
boy.
into the video screen for half time at Villa Park. Is that what's happening there?
So happy birthday, Clive, from your son George. Birthday on the 20th of April. George and his brother have been taken by his dad from Devon, which is no mean feat.
It's a long drive, that.
Regularly for the last 10 years. So massive appreciation from George for instilling that love of Villa. So happy birthday, Clive. Have a good one.
Yeah. Brilliant. Happy birthday, Clive.
That's it.
It's actually real now.
Oh, and we also should mention, just on a sadder note, it's today, Tuesday, is the funeral for Stephen Linton. So Philip Knott, Aston, the Aston Vicar on Twitter, he's doing the funeral. So I just hope that day is it'll mean a lot to a lot of people. So just wishing all the best for everybody involved in that.
Yeah, I said to you before we came on that it wasn't a proper away game unless you'd seen Steve in his cricket jumper, so I'm sure he'll be sorely missed by a lot of villains. I never met him, but he's someone that like you see and that you obviously notice because of that jumper, and I hope today goes as well as it can for Ryan as well, who's a big friend of his. Ryan AV on Twitter, I think his handle is. I just hope that the funeral goes well and that people can remember the good times with him. Yeah,
thoughts to everybody who's attending and those that can't be there as well.
Yeah.
Well, that's it for another podcast.
Yeah, I'm late for work now, so that's good.
That's fine, so am I. We're going to do hopefully the podcast next week after the Millwall game, all being well. So let's hope that we're talking about 6 points again, which is absolutely phenomenal. As I say, there's a lot of content. If you haven't seen the Bristol City post-match reaction, that's also on YouTube.
Fan cams as well. Got to say, fan cams was very enjoyable. A few new people. It was good.
Yeah, so there's loads of Villa content right now on YouTube, so make sure you check all of that out. If
it's not Villa on tour.
Don't go to that. Obviously, if you're listening to this on iTunes, you can can leave us reviews as well, so that'd be really, really good. Make sure you're liking, subscribing on the channel, and yeah, we'll see you next week.
FBAs as well. Keep voting for the
yeah.
FBAs. Martin Freeman's voting, so just make sure you're doing the same thing as Martin Freeman.
This is the last week.
Is it?
It ends on Easter Sunday. So yeah, please, if you haven't voted, please just go online now. You can do it through Twitter. All the information is on the Villa Views pinned tweet, and you can also do it on footballbloggingawards.co.uk. And you can vote via Twitter, via Instagram, and via the website. So please, if you like what we do, vote every which way you can.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good job I'm here, isn't it? Because you've got the notes and you've not put one of the most important things on there. Standard Julian, probably a good place to end.
What a great finish.
I'm not going to get in trouble now for being late from work, but who cares? It's all for the Villa.
8 in a row.
8 in a row of the Villa.
Of the Villa.
If you enjoyed that video, why not watch another? Click the video choices on screen now to go and watch them in full. Be sure to subscribe to the channel by clicking our logo there on the left. Easy peasy.